Imagine this. You're locked behind thick concrete walls, steel bars, armed guards watching your every move, and the world outside has written you off as gone forever. No tools, no help, no hope. Yet somehow, you find a way out. History is packed with prison escapes that sound completely made up. Clever tunnels, fake guns carved from soap, helicopters dropping from the sky, and one man who squeezed through a food slot thinner than a laptop. These aren't movie scripts. These are real stories of ordinary and extraordinary people who refuse to stay caged. Their ingenuity, patience, and sheer willpower turned inescapable prisons into nothing more than temporary stops. Let's dive into some of the most unbelievable prisoner escapes ever recorded. Escape 1. The legendary break from Alcatraz. The Rock, June 11th, 1962. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary sat like a fortress in the middle of San Francisco Bay. Freezing waters, deadly currents, searchlights sweeping the island 24/7. Guards called it escape-proof. In its 29 years as a maximum security prison, 36 men tried to break out. None succeeded, until 3 determined inmates changed that forever. Frank Morris, a highly intelligent bank robber with an IQ of 133, had spent most of his life in and out of prison. He was sent to Alcatraz after multiple escape attempts elsewhere. There, he met brothers John and Clarence Anglin, fellow bank robbers known for their resourcefulness. The 4, including Alan West, started planning in secret. For months, they used spoons stolen from the dining hall and a homemade drill made from a vacuum cleaner motor to slowly chip away at the concrete around the ventilation grills in their cell walls. The concrete was old and crumbly, but the work had to be silent. They hid the growing holes behind fake grills made of papier-mâché from prison library magazines. They even collected human hair from the barbershop to create incredibly lifelike dummy heads, painted skin tones, real hair glued on, complete with eyelashes. These dummies would sit in their beds to fool the night guards during bed checks. On the night of June 11th, 1962, everything came together. Morris and the Anglin brothers squeezed through the widened vents into an unguarded utility corridor behind the cells. They climbed pipes like ladders, punched through a ceiling vent, crawled across the roof of the cell block, then slid down a 50-foot stovepipe to the ground. They cut through barbed wire fences and reached the northeast shore. There, waiting for them, was an improvised raft and life vests made from over 50 stolen raincoats. Glued together with homemade sealant and inspired by an article in Popular Mechanics magazine. Alan West's vent hole had hardened overnight, so he was left behind. The 3 men paddled into the icy, treacherous waters of San Francisco Bay under cover of darkness. The next morning, guards discovered the dummies and raised the alarm. A massive manhunt followed. The FBI, Coast Guard, everything. The raft and some paddles later washed ashore, but no bodies were ever recovered. To this day, the fate of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers remains one of America's greatest mysteries. Did they drown in the strong currents? Or did they somehow reach the mainland and disappear into legend? Escape 2. El Chapo's engineering masterpiece. Altiplano Prison, July 11th, 2015. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the notorious leader of the Sinaloa cartel, was locked in Mexico's most secure prison, Altiplano. Cameras watched him constantly. Guards were everywhere. But his cartel had resources most governments envy. For months, construction quietly happened outside the prison walls. On July 11th, 2015, surveillance footage showed Chapo pacing in his cell, then walking toward the shower area. He disappeared from view. What investigators later uncovered was staggering. A sophisticated tunnel, more than a mile long, had been dug from a half-built house outside the prison straight into the floor of his shower stall. The tunnel dropped 35 feet underground through a vertical shaft with a wooden ladder. It was tall enough to stand in, equipped with electricity, ventilation fans, lighting, and even a modified motorcycle mounted on rails, probably used both to haul out dirt during construction and for a speedy exit. Chapo climbed down the ladder, entered the tunnel, and emerged far away in a neighborhood. He was free for 6 months before being recaptured. This was his second escape. The first in 2001 involved hiding in a laundry cart. Sheer planning, cost, estimated in the millions, and engineering made this one of the most audacious prison breaks in modern history. Escape 3. The Helicopter King, Pascal Payet's triple getaways. Some prisoners dig, others fly. French criminal Pascal Payet earned the nickname King of Helicopter Escapes. In October 2001, accomplices hijacked a helicopter and plucked him straight off the roof of Loins Prison in under 2 minutes. He was caught again, but in 2003, while still wanted. He helped organize another helicopter escape for 3 fellow inmates from the same prison. Then, in 2007, while serving time for those earlier escapes, it happened again, on Bastille Day. 4 masked men hijacked a helicopter from Cannes-Mandelieu Airport. They flew it to Grasse prison, landed dramatically in the courtyard, or on the roof depending on accounts, used smoke bombs and heavy tools like angle grinders to breach the isolation ward, freed Payet, and flew away. The whole operation took just minutes. The pilot was released unharmed. Payet was eventually recaptured in Spain, but his repeated use of helicopters turned him into a legend of audacity. Escape. 4. The Wooden Horse Deception. Stalag Luft 3, October 1943. During World War II, Allied POWs at the German prison camp Stalag Luft 3 faced one of the most guarded setups of the era. Escape seemed impossible. 3 British officers, Eric Williams, Michael Codner, and Oliver Philpott, came up with a brilliantly simple idea inspired by the Trojan horse. They built a wooden vaulting horse from Red Cross packing crates. Every day, fellow prisoners carried the horse to the same spot near the perimeter fence for gymnastics exercises. Hidden inside the hollow horse were the diggers. While others vaulted and jumped noisily above, the men inside dug a tunnel using bowls and whatever tools they could improvise. They removed dirt carefully and scattered it discreetly. The exercises masked the digging sounds from German microphones. After 114 days of patient work, on October 29, 1943, the 3 men crawled through the finished tunnel and escaped. All 3 made it back to freedom. A rare home run. This clever escape later inspired elements of the even bigger Great Escape from the same camp in 1944, where 76 men broke out through 3 massive tunnels named Tom, Dick, and Harry. Though most were recaptured and 50 were executed on Hitler's orders, the story became legendary for its scale and bravery. More jaw-dropping escapes. John Dillinger, the infamous Depression-era bank robber, escaped jail in 1934 using a fake gun he supposedly carved from wood and blackened with shoe polish. He bluffed his way out, stole the sheriff's car, and vanished, at least for a while. In South Korea, yoga master Choi Gap-bok, sometimes called the Korean Houdini, was arrested in 2012. After 5 days, he covered his body in skin ointment and squeezed his entire frame through a tiny food slot only about 6 inches high and 18 inches wide. In just 34 seconds. He was free before guards realized. During the American Civil War, over 100 Union soldiers escaped from Libby Prison in Richmond, Virginia in 1864. They dug from the first floor down to the basement, nicknamed Rat Hell because of the rats, then tunneled under the street to a nearby shed. It took weeks of secret labor in horrific conditions. Yoshi Shiratori, known as Japan's prison break king, escaped from harsh Japanese prisons 4 times, using incredible physical strength and tricks, melting bars with miso soup, breaking handcuffs, and slipping through impossible gaps. The 1983 Maze prison escape in Northern Ireland saw 38 IRA prisoners break out of what was considered one of Europe's most secure facilities, the largest prison escape in British history. They used smuggled guns, took hostages, and drove out in a hijacked truck. These escapes share something powerful: the human spirit's refusal to accept permanent confinement. Some used genius-level planning and engineering. Others relied on pure physical ability or breathtaking boldness. Many paid a heavy price: recapture, punishment, or worse. A few remain free to this day, their fates unknown. What these stories prove is that no prison is truly unbreakable when determination meets creativity. So the next time you hear someone say, "It's impossible," remember these men who turned impossible into reality. Subscribe for more insane real-life tales that sound like fiction, but actually happen.